Hey, it's Madison Chase with Black Hollywood Live, and I'm here on the set, not the actual set because we're in Los Angeles, California. The show actually shoots in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm here for TV1's Born Again Virgin with the creator. Yay! I'm so excited. A Born Again Virgin, Ranada Shepard. You have like a really good, wholesome last name, so maybe that's why you created the show.
Thank you.
We'll find out.
Well, it's my married name.
Okay. Well, that's still a great married name.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So tell me, because I'm actually a real live virgin.
Oh.
You're like, oh, that's what everybody's been saying. Tank's mouth was like. But here's the interesting thing.
Yes.
I recently started doing a lot of like blogging and other videos because I wanted to kind of talk about the whole journey because people think it's easy. Like just because you're not having sex doesn't mean you're not a sexual person.
Right.
And but before we talk about that, I want to talk about your background because we were talking a little bit about your introduction, going to college, and kind of that whole life journey of making the decision to do something you were really passionate about. So let's start there.
I left for college and went to University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Finally, by my senior year, when I was about to graduate, I applied for an internship at Edmonds Entertainment. I just thought, I've got to get to Hollywood. I've got to figure this out. Applied for an internship and worked under Devon Franklin at Edmonds Entertainment.
He's incredible.
Yes, yes. And it's so funny. I think we're a year apart, but we were so far apart, like mentally, just where he was. Like to see him where he is today, he was there 12 years ago. You could
12 years ago? Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So I got the internship. So I was in college Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Wednesday nights I would drive out or fly out from Las Vegas to LA, stay and intern on Thursday and Fridays, read scripts on Saturday, and Sunday was going back to Vegas to finish school. Doing all of this for $5 a day gas money. No pay, just, hey, here's your gas money.
Gas money, y'all. So you're talking about paying your dues. You paid your dues.
Yes. And then when I graduated from college, they created a position for me there. I worked for the in-house counsel, got to see all the deals, what a deal was supposed to look like for talent, for producers, for writers. Like, okay, when I get this deal one day, I'll already know. Just doing the research.
That's important too, doing the research, you guys.
Yes. And from there, the boss that I had, he managed Vincent D'Onofrio, the actor from Law & Order Criminal Intent. He wanted to start his own production company. We left Edmonds Entertainment and we went over to Brooklyn Hazelhurst Productions, where I was training to be a junior development exec. And got pregnant, was ready to start my life, got married, had a baby, went home and was like, I'm just going to be this amazing producer. Came home with all these great ideas. Now my husband, Devon Shepard, is a writer as well.
Devon Franklin was kind of like your mentor, and then you get with Devon Shepard.
Yes, two Devons in my life. And I came home and I was like, you know what? I have a lot of great ideas for you to write. And he was like, sorry, I have my own great ideas. I'm not writing your stuff. If you want somebody to write, you need to learn how to write. And I was like, oh, you're right. Not listening to him. Went through his contacts, met with writer friends of his. And I was like, they're going to write my great ideas. Met with them, and they were pretty much just like Devon. We have our own stuff we want to write. Those are great stories. Maybe you should write it.
Right.
And I remember just falling apart. I was driving, and I just started crying because I had this really good idea. And, a writer backed out. So I went to talk to him, and he's like, I'm telling you, you need to go learn how to write. And he convinced me to go to Writers Boot Camp. And when you leave Writers Boot Camp, you leave with your first draft of a script. And I was like, oh, my God, I wrote a script.
That's so impressive. Okay.
So I had the script in hand and took some notes from it, actually got producers attached to it, actually went out and shopped the script, and it landed nowhere, but it gave me the confidence to know I could do it, and that was my starting point. From there, I just kept writing. I wrote a children's book, which was based on I Have a Stepson from Devon, and it was a self-help, it is a self-help book for kids. It's called You Are Not the Only One, whose parents were never married, where we chronicle his life. And I didn't want to do illustration, so I hired a photographer, Danielle Kennedy McCullough, and she shot his life. So you'll see him leaving one house and going to another house. What that is when you see he's in the back of his mother's car waving bye to his father. Because he said to me, even kids who are divorced are luckier than I am because at least their parents got married. Yeah. And he's like, I don't see kids like me on TV. I can't find the books anywhere. So I created the book for him.
What a great stepmom you are.
Yeah, it was a great journey for both of us, just the healing process. And then I made sure that every kid who read the book, they weren't going to have the same journey as him. So there's a workbook in the back for the kid who reads the book to write in what their story is, put pictures of their family. And so I was a little sidetracked with that journey for a couple of years, just getting the book out there. I self-published, had it in festivals, and we just really took the time to nurture that book. In the meantime, I was still writing pilots, and I had the opportunity to meet with D'Angela Proctor at TV One.
Yes. I know D'Angela very well. I used to work for her in Nia Hill when they had Strange Fruit Film. I went to University of Oklahoma with Nia.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So D'Angela and I had a friendship and got to meet with her when she took the position and just asked her what they were looking for. She said she was looking for fresh, new content. So I created a pilot, and a born-again version was one of my characters.
Shut the front door. I'm so excited. Go ahead.
Yes. And she said, I like it. It's great. But nothing's jumping out at me except this born-again version character. And I thought, no, D'Angela, there's no way. It's a one-note show. It'll burn out. What are you talking about?
And that's so interesting because I have been trying to pitch like a reality show with virgins that are like 30s. And so D'Angela and I have talked countless times over the years, but I'm so happy that virgin content and people, that was their feedback. Like, oh, no one's going to be interested in virgins or virginity or whatever that looks like. But it's a different story when you're 30 plus. Yes. It's a totally different story because you're dealing with hormones, you're dealing with ready to have kids, all of that stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And so I thought if there was a way I could expand it so she's just not sitting in a room talking about her virginity every week, we could make this happen. So once I thought about it, went back to the drawing board and came back with the concept that she would blog about it and it would be outside of her. She would have friends involved as well that aren't necessarily virgins and take their own stance on it. Then you create a dynamic where this can live and this can breathe. So I came back with Born Again version, went through a couple rewrites with her, and she's like, I love it. We're shooting this show. And that's how we landed where we are. We shot the pilot in November. It was magical. And
it's a really great show. Because at first when I saw, because I do a lot of AfterBuzz TV Virgin content. So I've done MTV Virgin Territory, and Brayley Evans was actually on one of my shows, which I thought was funny. I'm like, Brayley, you're on the show now. Yay. And Jane the Virgin. So a lot of those people have come in to talk to us. But when I watched the trailer for your show, I was like, this is really, really good. You've done an incredible job. And I told Danielle, I was like, you put me in the mind frame of a Kerry Washington. But it's not so like in your face because she's blogging. But I love the spin of like the social media and all of that. You do such a great job. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So then we shot the pilot, and D'Angela and TV One called and said they wanted to buy 11 episodes. We were in the middle of writing 11 episodes, and they called back and said we want 10 more. So
that's 2 seasons.
Well, it's a long expanded season.
Not 2?
No, it's not. It'll be broken up into. It'll take a little break in between, but it is one season.
Watching the show, because at first I was like, it feels like it's very fashion forward, and the characters are very individual, and it reminds me a lot, not of Jane the Virgin, because it's interesting, my co-hosts are all Latin, both of them are Latin, so it's different. That show is definitely for them, but for me, I'm like, I could so identify with her character, even being a born again virgin, not necessarily a virgin, I still, whoever the writers are, you guys are incredible.
Thank you so much. Allison Faust came on as my showrunner and just helped me through the process of tearing down characters to build them back up. one of my big things in watching television, there's a sense of freedom that you get to see other cultures. To see when we're watching ourselves, and it's changed a lot recently with Mara Brockakil and Shonda Rhimes. We get to see these women and champion these women. But for the most part, growing up, I just remember watching Black women and seeing their burden. Either a man had did them wrong, there was a financial struggle, or society was just against them. Mm-hmm. So it was really big for me to see women who could be dreamers, who could be whimsical, who could be free, mm-hmm. who could make mistakes and then come back the next day and start all over. It didn't. The mistake didn't follow them to the next episode. Mm-hmm. So you got to dream and root for them. That's what I really wanted. I want the lighting to be a certain way. I want the women to be aspirational. I want women to see themselves and see their friends in the women of this show. So it's a really, really big deal to me. Our 3 female execs are women of color from TV One. Our 5 writers in the writers' room are women of color, and then our actresses are women of color.
That's incredible, and I'm so very excited for the whole process and the show, and it's really incredible, and you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. Yeah. I am. I'm excited to explore this journey and really have the conversations about born-again virginity. A lot of people feel that it isn't such a thing, and what is this? Either you're a virgin or you're not. Is it black or white? Yeah. I think it's interesting to have her start this when you say celibacy, or you can say born-again virgin. I think there is a difference in the sense that Jenna gets to look at this and see that she made some mistakes the first time, and wanting to control her life this time, she's going to do it differently and handle it differently. Maybe she didn't know how precious it was the very first time, and now in her 30s she does. And then go through different journeys with Kelly. I mean, Kelly is our woman of color in corporate America. How does that work for women of color? You know, there's an article in Huffington Post probably about 3 months ago that explored why women of color are leaving corporate America and starting their own businesses. So it was interesting to explore that, as well as with Tara, explore this wild card. And she's so much of who our generation is today, and that I'm beautiful and I should just be famous just because I was born. And explore that. What is that?
That is really interesting, because that's one thing that I liked about her character, because you kind of, even though you're kind of poking fun of it, but that is a lot of young ladies' reality, because we see people, not to bash Kim Kardashian, but that's kind of her whole thing. And she is strikingly beautiful, but that has been her claim to fame, is just really how she looks.
Yes, absolutely. And we put them up against things. You know, we have, not to give away the season, but where Tara has to explore, is she talented? And how talented is she? Can she succeed? You know, so to see all of these women look at their weaknesses and rise above it and come together. There's no mean girl in the group.
And that was another thing I was going to say. Ooh, Ranada, we're going to be having church. Because one of the things, I watch a lot of reality shows just because I like to see what's current, what's happening. And so even though in this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, I know Kenya Moore, I don't know anybody else on the show. I think I've met Nene before, but I'm like, I don't like that we're okay with those images of being mean to each other. And everybody's got their baggage and their dysfunction. Everybody's got that. But I'm like, at the reunion, the third show, you see why kind of Nene has been this mean girl. My Kenya's a mean girl. And I'm like, okay, hopefully next season it'll turn around. But I like on your show that there is a camaraderie, they support each other, and they don't judge each other. You know, like, it could very easily be that Tara's character is judged by Kelly, but she supports her because she still loves her. Like, underneath that judgment that could potentially be a mean girl, you have someone that's supporting her. So
yeah, I think if you can always admit your vulnerabilities, which we saw happen with Nene, like you were saying on that reunion show, the moment she began to say, this is what hurts me, everyone went, oh, then we can love you. So if we can show our vulnerabilities as women of color and explore why we may have reacted the way we did, then it'll make sense, and people can relate and root for you and cheer for you and have empathy for you. So that was really important to me, as well as just exploring this relationship with Donovan, for Jenna and Donovan. You know, the one thing you can't have just moved across the hall
is that fine man.
Yes. I mean, as soon as I say I'm not drinking coffee, coffee's calling me. So I can only imagine the moment you say you're not having sex and he moves across the hall. Like, come on, really? So that was big. And I think also, too, I'm 35 years old, And it was also important for me to explore where these women were with their mothers and their relationships with their mothers. So you will get to know their mothers and where they are, because I think also too, as we're on this journey, we're learning how to become women based on what we saw growing up. Yeah. But then there's something that happens when you hit your 30s and you go, wait, that's who you really are as a woman. Yeah. And you get to start to figure out who you are as a woman based on who the woman is who raised you. So we explore all of that. It's some
What about the father relationships?
We do have some father relationships on there as well. You'll get to meet Jenna's father.
Okay.
Absolutely. So just peeling back the layers. I mean, one of the things, and I heard the feedback from the pilot when I went to the web, and it was, who are these other girls? You know, who is Kelly? Who is Tara? I love this pilot. Can you show me? And our writers took the time to explore and peel back and layer these women to show you who they are. Yeah. So I'm really excited about it.
I'm super excited. So I know you guys are still shooting.
Yes.
So we'll see the first episode when, so we can make sure we support it. Is there a social media page for us to support it as well?
Absolutely. TV1 is in the process of building everything and getting the hashtags ready. I believe it's Can You Wait?
Oh, I love it.
Hashtag Can You Wait? Hashtag Team BAV, of course. Hashtag Born Again Version. So we are scheduled to premiere in August.
That's my birthday.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to all the ladies having a Born Again Version party.
I totally will have a Born Again Virgin party.
Yes. To celebrate, come together, talk about it, tweet about it, post, you know. I think it's a really good platform for women to start having these conversations. So I'm really excited about it.
And especially to young women, too, because that's one of the reasons. People are like, Madison, why are you talking about it now? I'm like, I'm talking about it because I feel like I wish someone would have had this conversation with me when I was 14, when I was 16, when I was 21. I wish someone would have had those conversations with me back then, because I feel like we don't really talk about sex, dating, because we're so like bombarded with what we see on television, and in our mind we think that's real and that's the way it should be, when that's not the reality of sex.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think either it's a forbidden fruit, so to speak. I mean, I remember growing up, I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
Really?
No.
And it's funny because I grew up in the church, and so my mom, she was never, like, my parents are divorced, and so she didn't talk about it, but I just assumed because she didn't talk about it, it was something bad and we weren't supposed to talk about it. Like, even now, I'm just now becoming comfortable with watching like a sex scene or a kissing scene. I'm like, okay, mama, we can watch this. No, I don't know. So yeah.
No, absolutely. My mom wouldn't use the word. She would say, she referred to it as something stupid. So she would say, you better not be out there doing something stupid. And I knew that meant I better not be having sex.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
So, you know, it's really great to be able to have this platform and open that conversation for women, young girls. You know, some of even the followers of Jenna's blog are teenagers. You know, we bring that up and say, you know, explore that. Are the teenagers wanting to become a born-again version? Have they done it too fast? You know, there is no age for this. Right. It really is just a choice for yourself. Did you make the mistake, and do you want to start over?
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. So I'm so excited. So social media, I've been asking everybody because it looks like they might need you. Social media, where can people follow you individually, and where can they follow the show?
Individually, Instagram, You Are Not The Only One is my handle. Okay. I'm on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter yet, but I will get on Twitter because I've been told I have to tweet.
Yes. That's got to be a part of the show, because I know Brayley and Danielle, and I'm sure Brayley, because she's huge on social media. Yeah.
Yes, they tweet. Allison Faust tweets. She's like, let's get going. So I'm going to get it going, I promise. Okay. And then, so that's it. The Facebook, the Instagram, and then I will get on Twitter before we start.
So you're on Facebook right now, individually, and you said it is?
Ranada C. Shepard for Facebook, and then it is You Are Not The Only One for Instagram.
You are not the only one. You heard it here first. TB1's Born Again Virgin. Yes. She is a creator. Yay, Ranada Shepard. And thank you, Devon Shepard, because you married this beautiful woman. And
convinced me to write.
And convinced her to write. So thank you, Mr. Devon Shepard. I'm Madison Chase, and this is Black Hollywood Live.